All right, this is our second lesson in our science unit, Coming to the Garden. We've been coming out to the garden for a few days now. Last week, we talked about plants and how plants have roots, stems, leaves, and flowers. Today, we're going to talk about erosion and how water causes erosion. So when it rains, water comes down from the sky, makes the soil wet, and it's possible that that soil could change locations. It could go from one place to another place. So today we're going to make observations, we're going to connect rain and water with erosion, and then we're going to practice watering the garden in a manner that does not cause erosion. So as we come over to the garden, I want you to look at what happens when water comes down on top of the plants. What does that kind of look like to you? Somebody raise their hand and tell me, what does that look like to you? Yeah, it kind of looks like the plants are getting a shower. All right, let's do a quick activity. Thumbs up if you agree, thumbs down if you disagree, thumbs kind of in the middle if you somewhat agree or somewhat disagree. We've done this before in class, but let's try it. Thumbs up. I take a shower at night. Oh, interesting. Thumbs up. I take a shower in the morning. Okay. What happens when you take a shower? Exactly. Your body gets wet and the dirt washes away. The water makes your body wet, and any dirt that's on your body gets washed down the drain. That's what happens in a shower. That's how you get clean. We don't want that in the garden. We don't want to wash the soil away and wash the dirt away in the garden. We want the soil to stay in on the ground. We want the plant to be able to absorb the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients from the soil. So we can't water too much or the soil is going to wash away. So as we water the garden, we want to make sure erosion does not take place. Erosion is the movement of soil from one place to another place. That's what erosion is. We don't want to cause erosion in the garden. When it rains, rain makes the water come down from the sky, soaks or saturates the ground, and it's possible that the water could wash away the soil. There's mudslides, there's landslides, there could be rock slides. Whenever the ground gets wet, the water washes away the soil from one side to another side. So, we know what erosion is, and in the garden, we don't want to cause erosion. All right, let's do a quick think, pair, share. So I'm going to give you something to think about. You're going to turn to your partner or the person next to you and share with them what you think about the phrase that I'm going to tell you. Is erosion good or bad? Take a second to think about it. All right, share with your neighbor now that you've had a second to think about it. Share with your neighbor. All right, make sure you thank your neighbor for sharing. Thank you for thanking your neighbor. Erosion could be good or bad. Erosion could be good in a way where danger, rock slides, mudslides, landslides, are no longer present because erosion has caused that soil to move from one spot, which is dangerous, to another spot, which is safe. Obviously, if your house or something is at the bottom of the hill and a landslide comes down on top of your house, it's not safe. But once that land moves, once that erosion takes place, the danger is gone. Erosion can also be bad. Erosion could cause the soil, especially in the garden, to go from one place where the plant needs it to another place where the plant can't get to it. God designed the roots of the plant to absorb the nutrients and the minerals from the soil into the roots. That's how God designed the roots, to get the water, the nutrients, and the minerals from the soil and bring them into the plant. Okay, so those different minerals bond to the oxygen and the hydrogen water molecules. They bond to those molecules and are drawn into the roots of the plant in order for that plant to get the water and the nutrients and the minerals inside of the plant. So as we look at this, we don't want to wash away the soil. We want to keep the soil for the roots to be able to get the minerals and the nutrients from the soil. So let's look at this again and make sure that we don't cause erosion. I'm going to show you what erosion looks like in the garden, and then I'm going to show you a way to water the plants that does not cause erosion. All right, this is an example of what erosion looks like when we're watering the garden. You can see all of this water is washing the soil away from where the plants are. You can see the big washing away of the soil right there. Right there is a big puddle of soil that's been washed away from the corner of the garden. We don't want to cause erosion in the garden. Now this is an example of watering the garden that does not cause erosion. The soil is getting wet, but it's not moving from one place to another place. Here are some things to remember when you're watering the garden. The watering can should be about waist height. You should be spinning the watering can around the plant. We want to keep the water not puddling up or pooling in one spot. And if you're watering little plants, they should only be close to the plant. Bigger plants, you're going to need to get up a little bit higher. But smaller plants should be very near and not up too high. If you hold them up too high during small plants, there's going to be too much force on the plants and it's going to cause erosion. So about waist height. If you want to hold the watering can with two hands, make sure the water comes out nice and slow and not too high, about 8 to 10 inches, a foot, a ruler away from where the plants are. Okay. All right, let's do another think, pair, share. Think about the two things that you need to remember when you're watering the plants. Think about those two things that I just talked about. What two things do you need to remember? All right, share with the person next to you. All right, go ahead and switch. All right, thank the person for sharing. And somebody raised their hand and give me a response. What were some things that you need to remember when you're watering the plants? What two main things? Good. The speed and the distance, the height above the plants. Those are two things you need to remember. You can hold the watering can with one hand. You can hold the watering can with two hands. But keep in mind, you need to make sure you watch the speed and watch the distance, how far you are away from the plant. Okay? So I want you to group up with your table groups. Water the garden with your table group. I want you to take turns. One person is going to be doing the watering. The other people are going to be watching, helping, coaching, not doing it for the person. Helping and coaching, giving them suggestions, giving them advice, not telling them they're doing something wrong, being positive, being kind with your words, but encouraging. Help each other. Okay, so we're going to take turns watering the garden. If you run out of water and you need to fill up your water, go over to the spigot and fill up the water again. I'll be walking around. I'll be watching what you're doing. So as you're watering the garden, I want you to coach each other, peer review each other. Because when we get back to our classroom, we're going to take out our science journals and we're going to write down a journal entry talking about how water can cause erosion. Here in the garden, we're using a watering can. But in nature, God designed water to come from the sky as rain for the plants. If it doesn't rain, then there's a drought and the plants won't grow very fast. But God designed water to come from the sky as rain. And sometimes if it rains too hard or too fast, that can cause erosion. Okay? So when we get back to our classroom, we're going to do a journal entry about that. But I want you to spend the next 3 or 4 minutes watering the garden with your table group and peer review, peer coaching each other. Go. Oh, nice job watering the garden. Good job holding the watering can at just the right height. Remember, we're not stepping inside the garden. Don't step inside of the white boxes. Keep your feet on the outside of the garden. We don't want to step on the plants that are growing inside the garden. Very good. Nice job. Nice job. Yep, if your watering can is empty, you can go fill it up. The spigot is right over there next to the building. Yep, we don't want to wash away all the soil. Okay, we don't want to wash away the soil because the roots under the ground in the soil are what gets the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients to the plant. We don't want to wash away the soil. Good. That's a lot better. Good job. Hey, good job watering the garden today. I'm very proud of all of you for watering the garden from the right height, the correct height, as well as watering the garden slow so that you don't cause erosion. Remember, God designed plants to absorb the water and nutrients from the soil, so we don't want to wash the soil away. That's part of being a good steward of God's creation. God put us here to help take care of what He designed and what He created. So we want to be good stewards of what God has given us. We want to take care of those things and not ruin it. So make sure that we're not causing erosion when we're out here at the garden. The next time it rains, we'll come out and see what the rain did to our garden, because rain causes erosion too. But as we're out here at the garden with the watering cans, we're not going to cause erosion, or we're going to do our best not to cause erosion. All right, when we get back to the class, we are going to write in our science journals. But before we do that, I want you to pretend to be me. I want you to turn to your partner. I want you to do your best Mr. Huber impression, and you're going to have 30 seconds to teach your partner how to water the garden without causing erosion. All right, rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first. All right, go. All right, nice job. That was 30 seconds. Go ahead and switch your best Mr. Huber impression. What's the proper way to water the garden? Second partner, go. All right, let's head back to class. All right, there was a great question as we walked back to the classroom. What do we need to put in our science journals? Well, it's up to you. You can write out a narrative and write down all the steps that you did to make sure that you watered the garden properly. You can draw a picture, you could draw a diagram, you could make a comic strip. It's up to you what you put in your science journal, but make sure that your journal entry for today has to do with erosion. Don't just draw a picture of you and your friends watering the garden. Make sure it has to do with erosion and what we talked about out at the garden today.